The real reason has been revealed as to why AEW are signing fewer ex-WWE stars. Plus, Pat McAfee gives an update on his WWE absence, and a TNA star makes possibly the strangest WWE debut ever. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling news right now. Let's talk about AEW hiring ex-WWE names. They've had some big hits over the years. Of course, when they first set up, Chris Jericho was a big name that joined them off the bat. Bryan Danielson proved to be a massive grab for them, as did Swerve Strickland, who really found himself and his sound through AEW. Tony Storm as well, absolutely. But for every name like that, you have some that come into the system and it doesn't quite scan. You get a guy like Andrade who comes into much fanfare and then just disappears into the ether. Guys like Rusev or Miro, who just doesn't really get the fire started. Malachi Black, another name like that as well. And according to Fightful Select, new report from them, we're going to see fewer WWE names heading to AEW going forward.
That's right. The report states that AEW are going to be way more picky about who is signed. And this is primarily due to past situations of former WWE wrestlers signing with AEW, not enjoying their time in the promotion, and then later returning to WWE. Let's just go back to that middle bit. Not enjoying their time in the promotion, to me, reads like didn't want to take pins and then wanted to piss off back to WWE.
I mean, that did cross my mind a little bit.
Just saying. So it doesn't necessarily mean that WWE stars who have been released or their time with the company has ended, they won't pop up in AEW, but you will likely see far fewer of them. I think this is really, really interesting, and I actually see this as a really good step for AEW. To be honest, their roster's massive already. They don't need anyone extra. But on top of that, I think they want to build their own identity. I think this is what it's about. You don't want to be seen in a kind of way that TNA has been seen in the past, as where WWE stars, ex-WWE stars, go to die. And AEW was criticised, I think in some cases quite fairly, for doing that. It did seem like a lot of the big name releases were immediately picked up by AEW, and obviously in recent history we've seen the Hurt Business, the Hurt Syndicate, pop up, and that's been really successful.
Ricochet has had just the greatest heel run in AEW. Really love his work as a bad guy, and that has come about because he has been given that time and that room to truly flourish in that role, I think. And it also happened a little bit because he kind of came in as WWE's Ricochet. Nobody bit on it, and therefore the hand was somewhat forced, but aren't we glad that it was, because we now have this brilliant version of Ricochet that we have today. So there have been some good cases for it, but it looks as if going forward, according to Fightful Select, that AEW are going to focus on signing independent talent as well as talent from TNA and New Japan. We've seen recently signings like Josh Alexander, Speedball Mike Bailey, Kevin Knight in there as well.
Good signings, those,
some
aren't they?
Decent signings in there too. And there's more to be had from having those names that you cultivate and create that don't have WWE experience, because they feel like more like your guys. You know, Will Ospreay's a great example of somebody that hasn't been to WWE, hasn't been part of that system, had a banger of a run on the independents, took over in New Japan, and is making waves in AEW now. And he hasn't been part of WWE. But they've also got other homegrown talents about like MJF and Hangman Page, which there's proof of concept that they can build their own talent without bringing them in from WWE.
For sure. Couldn't agree more. It's
an interesting one. We're going to keep an eye on that one. Meanwhile, over in WWE, a homegrown talent is on the bench at the moment, according to WrestleVote Radio.
Unfortunately, it's regarding the big man himself, Otis. WrestleVote saying, I believe he's out of action. Don't know if it's an injury or personal reasons. However, we speak about this roster that shows up. Otis is currently not on the roster, which means they're not available right now. So he's not on the sheet for creative to work stuff out for. For whatever reason, personal injury, they don't know. However, they are not available for weekly TV at the moment. So yeah, it's a disappointing one. I'm always entertained by Otis. I don't care really what he's doing. I just think he adds value into anything that he's a part of. I do see his career progressing. It's a weird one. Otis's career has been really weird because, like, you look at the storyline with Mandy Rose and then his Money in the Bank win.
Yeah,
that feels like the most distant of memories right now. And it really felt like he was going to take that next step. And then he sort of settled into this comedy semi-jobber role. They're certainly not afraid to have Otis eat a pin. But I see when he gets serious, that he could be quite a big deal, if you'll excuse the expression. He is a big deal. But yeah, I see his career. I don't think it's over for Otis yet.
No, there's more to tell with that one. Pat McAfee's not been on Raw for a little while as well. A couple of weeks absent from him. We saw Wade Barrett stepping into the role. We saw Corey Graves returning to Raw to cover him as well. He updated us on the Pat McAfee show, and he says why he's been absent for the last few weeks. Has continued to just kind of catch up on life as a whole. Post Money in the Bank, pre-Night of Champions, was getting pretty exhausted there. So shout out to everybody at WWE for looking out for me too. Very, very thankful. He does a lot of stuff, does Pat McAfee.
That's it. Say what you will about Pat McAfee, and he's a bit Marmite, isn't he? Some people love him, some people hate him. Everybody initially loved him. Now a lot of people hate him. Anyway, he works his arse off. He's always doing stuff. So it's not surprising to hear that he is burned out.
Yeah, so he's taking a break. So in terms of when he'll be back, he kind of was very elusive on that one. I imagine he'll be back. I would imagine he'd be back by SummerSlam, if not before then.
Yeah, possibly. It depends if he wants the Saudi payday. Oh no, they don't get it anymore. Maybe announcers are different. I don't know.
That's the whole thing. They don't even get that anymore. This is my favorite story of the day, and it has warmed my soul. This is my afternoon sorted for 2K25. This might be the strangest WWE debut ever, because somebody has joined the WWE roster electronically, yet having never wrestled in a WWE ring.
This is really, really rare. I'm trying to think of who this might apply to previously. Tatsumi Fujinami was in one, wasn't it? Anyway, we're talking about Abyss. We are talking about Abyss. He has made his WWE debut as part of WWE 2K25 as part of the Dunk and Destruction DLC pack. He is presented in his proper TNA entirety. He's got the music. He's got the classic TNA look. He's got everything.
He's got Janice.
Yes, he's got Janice with him. Absolutely tremendous stuff. This.
Yeah, it's the fact that it's the complete TNA look. It's no half measure. It's the music that he had in it, as you said, and it's just the look. It's the entrance. It's that whole thing he does on the top of the ramp. All of it in there in its entirety. In an exclusive interview with Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, Abyss said that he was approached last summer about being in the game, and he was very shocked to have that conversation. He's been working backstage as a WWE producer, getting so much love and praise from everybody in the role that he has there. He says that TNA were immediately on board with him doing it. He describes it as a bucket list moment for him. In terms of what he had to do, basically they just scanned his face, and they've had other people go in there and take the bumps and do all the motions for him.
It's clever stuff, isn't it?
It's very, very clever. But does this mean that Abyss is getting back in the ring, Adam Pacitti?
No. Whilst an in-ring return has never been discussed, Abyss clarified to Sean Ross Sapp, basically it's not going to happen. He said, to answer quite frankly, I'm done. I don't have plans to ever wrestle again. Never say never. It is wrestling. But I don't see it in the cards, and I don't want it in the cards. I'm so happy with what I'm doing as a producer. He did also mention, while he hasn't pushed for it, he wouldn't be against appearing on screen as Joseph Park in the future. He had that very brief thing with AJ Styles a few years ago, which again feels like a fever dream. I think that was that COVID time as well.
I think that was the pandemic. That was, yeah.
I think it was. And this is going to sound mental, right? This is the same thing as me thinking Umaga's tattoos were real. His face paint, I always thought that was real. Or Hakushi's were real as well. I didn't believe that Joseph Parks and Abyss were the same person, because they're so wildly different. He's brilliant. You know what? It's I'm chuffed that he's got the payday. I think that's awesome for him. It's a really nice way to honor a legit legend who I don't think gets spoken about enough. When you talk about big monster heels, you'll talk about your Takers, you'll talk about your Kanes, you'll talk about your Vaders. Abyss, his work in TNA was unbelievable, and fair play to him. Get paid.
And TNA was a big deal in the UK because it was on Challenge TV over here, so it was more accessible than anywhere else. So this is a big thing for UK fans, and I, for one, will join all my UK fans tonight with a little tear in my eye, battering High Chief Peter Maivia with Janice later on today. It's going to be a good day out by all. For the very latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com.
Why High Chief Peter Maivia?
He had it coming. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.